I was working on a presentation recently where we had several tables like this of the breaches of peace that they wanted to display. And the problem with this is that when you're presenting a table, you're able to present a whole lot of content, but the audience doesn't have the time to be able to read that content while you're speaking. Because the audience needs time to be able to read what you're saying while you're saying something, and they have to be able to pay attention to both, and our brains don't work that way. And so instead of showing slides like this, it's helpful to take a step back and say, like, what do I want my audience to understand? In this case, they want to understand the difference between 2024 and 2025 with the breaches of peace. So at first we looked at something like this, using a chart to break down like the main components that they wanted to talk about. But this doesn't really do a great job. It's a little bit like spaghetti thrown at a graph. And ultimately, when we actually started to talk with the client about what the purpose of this was, it wasn't that they wanted the audience to understand the difference between 2024 to 2025 for each of these breaches of peace. What they actually wanted to know was that 2024 to 2025 was larger, and that these were parts of what the breaches of peace contained. And so this didn't really do that as well as something like this. So instead of doing that, we said, hey, we're looking at breaches of peace from 2024 to 2025 based off the 911 call logs of these specific addresses. And in 2024, there were 3 breaches of peace for 800 North Avenue. And then in 2025, you can see that that increase changes to 25 calls, which is really a percent increase of 733%. And then we did the same thing for 100 Main Street. So in 2024, there was 1 call for breaches of peace. And then in 2025, there was 48. And that is a percent increase of 4,700%, which is massive. And so this, by simplifying what you're showing and just showing what those main ideas are, it helps to bring the audience's attention to where you want them to look. And at the same time, using animations to help direct the audience's eyes to where you want them to go. So they're not reading through the table and half listening to what you're saying. They're instead looking at exactly what you want to show them when you want to show them that content. And then if you want to bring in the different things that make up breaches of peace, you can always add in an extra piece like this, where you say those breaches of peace were made up of overdosing and armed robbery and break-ins and whatever else that you want to show. And you can actually time this to be in the same time frame of when you're going to say it, or you can have it come up as you just call out a couple of these. And so this is one way that you could take a large data set and kind of consolidate it down to just the main ideas and only show what you're talking about when you're talking about it. If you want to learn more, check out my workshops at makeitmemorable.studio, and you too can learn how to be an amazing PowerPoint designer.